Welcome to everyone. I know it's kind of a long thing to get all the sound check going, but c'est la vie. We've been trying to deal with this ever since we've gone to virtual. J'ouvre maintenant la séance. Je voudrais reconnaître.
I'll now open the meeting. I am pointing out that this meeting is taking place on the traditional unceded territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe people.
That pursuant to the motion adopted by the committee on Monday, January the 31st, 2022, the committee's meeting on challenges related on the issue of the Shaw-Rogers amalgamation. So I wanted to just give you a couple of housekeeping rules here. Today's meeting is taking place in a hybrid format. Members are attending in person and the room and remotely using the Zoom application. So the proceedings will be made available via the House of Commons website. Given the ongoing pandemic situation and in light of recommendations from Health Canada, as well as the directives of the Board of Internal Economy on Tuesday, October the 19th, 2021, to remain healthy and safe, all those attending the meeting in person must maintain a 2-meter distance, must wear a non-medical mask when circulating in the room, and it's highly recommended that the circulation be brought down to a minimum, that a mask be worn at all times, including when seated and including when speaking, and that one must use the hand sanitizer in the room. As a chair, I will be enforcing these measures for the duration of the meeting, and I thank members in advance for their cooperation. For those participating virtually, I'd like to outline a few rules to follow. You may speak in the official language of your choice. Interpretation services are available in floor, English or French. If interpretation is lost, please inform me as soon as possible, and we will restore the sound before resuming proceedings. Before speaking, please wait until I recognize you by name. When speaking, please speak slowly and clearly. When you're not speaking, please mute your mic. A reminder that all comments by members should be addressed through the chair. And so now we are going to begin. There has been a change in the meeting. The first panel, who was the CRTC, will not be appearing today. They will be appearing another day. So we will begin with the witnesses here who are on virtual. And I will then begin by reading out to the witnesses. For witnesses, I wanted you to know that there are a couple of rules. The rules are that you only have 5 minutes to present. If you have 2 people from your group wanting to present, you're going to have to find a way to split that time. And then after the 5 minutes of presentation, and I will be giving you a 1-minute warning, I'll just go 1 minute. You'll just hear my voice in the ether there saying 1 minute, and that gives you time to wrap up. And then what we will do is go on afterwards to questions and answers by members of Parliament. And the questions and answers will in fact be included in the question and the answer. So the time period for that is not 2 separate times. It'll be 1 time. And I will tell you what that is before the questions begin. So we begin by recognizing Canadian Association of Community Television Users and Stations, Catherine Edwards, Executive Director. For 5 minutes, please, Miss Edwards. Ms. Edwards?
Thank you for inviting us. I'm Catherine Edwards with the Canadian Association of Community Television Users and Stations. With me in another window is Amélie Anse, the Directrice of the Fédération des Télévisions Communautaires Autonomes du Québec. Our organizations advocate for access to digital media training, production support, and distribution so that individuals and communities can express themselves. The not-for-profit community element employs 1,000 staff, trains more than 20,000 volunteers annually, broadcasts in 80 languages, and produces 1 million hours of local content over the air, on cable, on satellite, and online, for 1/10 the cost of an hour of production in the public and private sectors. We believe community-owned media is the best way to serve communities with local news and to ensure that a diversity of voices continue to fill our airwaves. We're pleased to provide comments on the Rogers-Shaw merger because community TV, and consequently access to local news for more than 300 communities that community TV once served, has been decimated over the last 20 years by prior mergers undertaken by these companies. Of the more than 300 cable community TV stations that once formed the backbone of the community element, over 75% have closed, as Canada's cable giants have withdrawn production infrastructure to the cities and focused their energies on specialty channels, selling TV subscriptions, and mobile services. For example, Chairwoman Fry, Rogers used to have 12 neighborhood community TV offices around the Vancouver Lower Mainland. They were closed in 1998 when Rogers sold its Western systems to Shaw. Vancouverites from White Rock to North Van were expected to make their way to Shaw corporate headquarters for access to our broadcasting system. Since New Westminster's Shaw Community TV studio was shut, Mr. Julian has volunteered to help cover events for the New West TV not-for-profit startup, a Cactus member attempting to fill the gap left by Shaw. These stations ensure that you as parliamentarians can reach your constituents to talk about the issues that are important, not sound bites meted out to you by mega corporations more interested in blockbuster US series, but community-owned entities committed to supporting local democracy. Mr. Coteau, the same happened in Toronto. Rogers, like Shaw, consolidated all its community TV production studios in one corporate headquarters before finally closing in 2017. Mr. Biddle, up until 2003, there was a Cogeco community channel devoted to St. Catharines that had disappeared by 2011. Subscribers in St. Catharines now see a community channel from Niagara, also shared with Grimsby. This process of zoning former distinct community channels into a single regional channel has been permitted by the CRTC following the urging of Rogers in 2006. Mr. Nature, Ms. Lewis, and Mr. Louis, Rogers claims to have distinct community channels on its website in Waterloo, Kitchener, London, Stratford, Guelph, and Cambridge, but in fact, a single zoned channel serves all these mid-sized cities with only occasional insertions of content specific to each city. Rogers and Shaw have told the CRTC that they couldn't afford to keep separate stations open, but communities were never asked whether they'd like the opportunity to run the channels on a more cost-effective model. Rogers has been particularly vicious in eliminating competition for its own regional community channels. In New Brunswick, which used to have over 30 community TV stations, Rogers shut down all but 6 when its fiber optically connected the province. The community-owned station in Chatham was told by Rogers that fiber optics would no longer enable two-way programming. Chatham residents could continue to receive Rogers TV from across the province, but they would no longer be able to see Chatham's community-produced content. It was a lie. When Rogers shut down production studios in St. Stephen and St. George, 2 of the 3 villages in Charlotte County, and started piping in its provincial Rogers TV, our St. Andrews member was told by a Rogers technician that Rogers had actually inserted a cable trap at the St. Andrews boundary to purposefully limit distribution of the community-owned signal. In 2017, under intense lobbying by Rogers, the CRTC gave cable companies the green light to redirect most of Canada's community TV or local expression budget to support their failing private news properties via the Independent Local News Fund. Shaw invested its Vancouver, Edmonton, and Calgary local expression budgets in Global and shut its
One minute.
Okay, I'll jump ahead. So we all know that local news is in trouble, but we've been erroneously handing money to vertically and horizontally integrated giants to solve the problem. At each hearing, they promise that with deeper pockets, they'll be able to support local production, but they don't. The Local Journalism Initiative by the Department of Canadian Heritage has finally recognized that if you want to ensure communities have local news, you resource not-for-profit community media that are located in and committed to serving communities over the long haul. Cactus, the Fédération, and Community Radio are generating news under the LGI for 1/10 the cost of public and private sector news hours for hour. So we do not support further consolidation. It's bad for information diversity, and it's also bad because the bigger the companies get, the more they capture our regulator. The CRTC staff openly refer to them, not the Canadian public, as their clients. And the rot has gone so far up that we're being told not only by the CRTC, but by Canadian Heritage staff working on Bill C-11, that they cannot recognize not-for-profit broadcasting in a new broadcasting act because other big entities think it's a zero-sum game. If we recognize that you exist, then there's less money for them. The legal structure of our country is caught in their net. We've elected you to defend the public interest when our bureaucrats and regulators are captured by industry. So should the merger go ahead, however, we urge you to support initiatives that ensure a diversity of information and
Ms. Edwards, can you wrap up? Thank you.
And service for smaller communities outside the control of Rogers and other BDUs, including the Local Journalism Initiative and the establishment of a Community Access Media Fund to support not-for-profit community media. We currently have a proposal for such a fund before the CRTC, which hasn't been gazetted. It would enable communities themselves, especially Indigenous, rural, and diverse.
Edwards.
Yeah, we're finished.
Please.
Apply for and
Thank
fund.
you.
We had very little time to prepare. One day.
Well, Ms. Edwards, you will have an opportunity when questions are asked of you to elaborate and expand on what you were planning to say at this beginning session. So fine. Now I will go to Community Radio Fund of Canada, Alex Friedman, Executive Director. Mr. Friedman, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chair. It has often been said that democracy dies in the dark. Without reliable and accurate local news and information, people can simply not make informed decisions. This applies to all Canadians, and it's why the question you wrestle with today is so incredibly important. The gutting of local news has been ongoing for many years, but has accelerated dramatically over the last decade, and the consequences are terrifying. A full third of US citizens believe their election was stolen. Horse medication flies off global shelves as an antidote to COVID because of one statement by an uninformed US president. And a grand total of about a dozen accounts are responsible for more than 80% of the vaccine disinformation available on social media. I have a great deal of experience in journalism, 15 years with the CBC, as well as Chief of Staff at Laurentian University and the Assembly of First Nations. I'm now Executive Director of the Community Radio Fund of Canada. And what I can tell you is that while journalism is a keystone for a functional society, it is not profitable. The truth, while critical, is not nearly as attractive or intoxicating as questionable narratives that an algorithm has determined fits into a person's echo chamber. So when access to local news and information is left in the hands of corporations focused on profit over public good, the outcome shouldn't be a surprise. Corporate concentration in the media hurts Canadians' access to local news and information. We've seen this play out with Bell recently closing entire newsrooms in Montreal and Toronto, firing hundreds of journalists as those funds are diverted to supporting streaming services. A few years earlier, it was City TV closing newsrooms, gutting breakfast television. According to the Local News Research Project, since 2008, a total of 451 news operations have closed in 324 communities across Canada. I won't be taking a position today on whether or not this merger should proceed. Rather, I'm here to say that if it does, the consequences will be damaging for local news and information. And this government has a responsibility to insist on remedies to ensure that Canadians get the news they need and deserve. In a recent article in The Star, some of the challenges were highlighted. Global News, whose newscasts are watched by 20% of the viewers in BC and Alberta, stands to lose $13 million out of its $138 million annual budget. That money will go to City TV, which is owned by Rogers. This is because, according to a Rogers vice president, the company, quote, cannot get its head around the idea of funding a competitor. No concern for viewers, this is about profits. As a consequence, Global will likely be forced to seek a significant portion of the independent local news fund, which will further impact local news. In one fell swoop, this transaction will gut one station, and the funding set aside for independent news outlets will be cut by more than half, and that's just the beginning. A review of the tangible benefits associated with this transaction, meant to support Canadian voices, shows $8.5 million will be invested in the ILNF once. After that, the fund is on its own, and a significant portion, as I mentioned, will be absorbed by Global. Of note, this fund was set up by funding that was originally intended for community television. Now, the rest of the benefits will go to the Canadian Media Fund and assortment of important film festivals, but next to nothing to support local news. So what does this committee do about it? Well, I propose that it needs to ensure that there are mechanisms to protect local news, not just corporate interests. So the Community Radio Fund of Canada provides funding to community campus and Indigenous broadcasters to hire journalists in news deserts. Next year, we will supply salaries for journalists to be hired in 39 community-based radio stations through, as Kathy mentioned, the Local Journalism Initiative. This is a fraction of the need. If this transaction is approved, the government must extend and expand the funding for the LJI, and it should be up to the corporations benefiting from the gutting of local news to pay for this. This committee should also ensure that tangible benefits go to organizations such as the Community Radio Fund and earmarked to support the production of independent local news. This is important because Rogers cannot stomach the idea that they would give money to their competition, but we are independent broadcasters, we are community broadcasters, and we are not the competition. The network of more than 230 community-based broadcasters can and should be part of this solution. So in closing, I'll quote Tim Franklin, who's the head of the Metal Local News Initiative at Northwestern University, and he puts this challenge in some very plain language, saying, The diminishment of local news is to democracies what climate change is to the environment. It's a slow motion crisis, the effects of which we are just beginning to see. Madam Chair, thank you for your time. And colleagues, I do look forward to your questions. Je serai heureux de vous répondre soit en français ou en anglais.
I'll be happy to answer you in English or French.
Absolutely on time. Thank you. I'm going to go now to the next witness, who is the National Ethnic Press and Media Council of Canada, Thomas Sarras, President and Chief Executive Officer. 5 minutes, please, Mr. Sarras.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. In 1792, James Madison expressed his concerns about the fate of the democratic experiment. He warned of a real domination of the few under an apparent liberty of the many. Deploring the daring depravity of the times as private powers becoming the Praetorian band of the government, at once his tools and its tyranny. Echoing the previous speakers, on behalf of the National Ethnic Press and Media Council of Canada, I want to bring to the attention of the members two things. The first is clearly political, a message that reflects democracy and the kind of democracy we want to have in this country. And the other one is economical. By concentrating, by putting together all those corporations, then you are going to monopoly. And monopoly is really bad, because by the moment they achieve whatever they want, then the prices are moving up. Speaking about Rogers, I have at the front of me one of his invoices. 3 years ago, they approached someone and they offered him a deal for $250 a month for the total, for telephones and everything in the house. This month, he received another bill for $370. The same services from 250 moved to 370. And I'm wondering if the Canadian people can afford to pay to Mr. Rogers or to anybody else $400 a month just to have television or to have the telephone lines on the system, connected on the system. This is the reason that the National Ethnic Press is against this amalgamation. It is bad for the state, it is bad for the people, it is bad for our justice and our security. And I believe that for no reason, we are standing up for the freedom of the press. And freedom of the press means the diverse voices that this country has to show to all over the world. My organization is representing 1,200 media outlets all over Canada in 103 different languages. And we try to inform our readers with our best ability and our ability to express and serve the government of Canada
30
and the
seconds.
people. Well, I don't think that I have to say anything else. The message is there. I hope you got it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Sarras. And now we go to Matthew Hartfield and Erin Knight, who are both, Matthew Hartfield is a campaigns director and Erin Knight is a digital rights campaigner for Open Media. For 5 minutes, please. I don't know who's going to start, but I'm beginning the clock ticking. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Matt Hatfield, and I'm the campaigns director at Open Media, a grassroots community that works for an open and accessible internet. I joined here today by our lead internet access campaigner, Aaron Knight. I'm speaking from the unceded territory of the Stolo, Tsleil-Waututh, Squamish, and Musqueam nations. My colleague is calling in from Treaty 1 territory, the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, Cree, Oji-Cree, Dakota, and Dene peoples, and the homeland of the Métis Nation. We're here today to talk about the Rogers-Shaw deal and how it will impact local news. But I need to emphasize that no government body in Canada is looking squarely at the full implications of this deal, the sixth largest in Canadian history. Not the CRTC looking at broadcast implications, not the Competition Bureau armed with our anemic Competition Act, and unfortunately not this hearing. We are not economists or lawyers, we're a citizens group. But we want to highlight what should be obvious to everyone. Rogers' plan to buy Shaw is a disaster for competition, diversity, and innovation in our country. It will lead directly to increased consumer prices for telecom services, loss of jobs in news media and in telecom, and a consolidation of power over our media like we've never seen. It will put one man, Edward Rogers, in charge of the internet and broadcast service of nearly half of English Canadian internet users. And it will further concentrate and reduce diversity of perspective in a media market already ranked third most concentrated amongst 28 countries in a recent study. As a point of comparison, while the top 4 media companies in the US hold 29.8% of market share, in Canada, the top 4 hold an astonishing 52.3%. I don't have to tell anyone here that news, and particularly local news, is in trouble. Some people will tell you this is because internet platforms are stealing their news content, but the reality is that quality news production has never been profitable. News used to be bundled with all of people's needs for classifieds, entertainment, sports, and more. And now that those non-news functions are fulfilled by dedicated online services, the budget that the market provides for news alone isn't up to task. That's hurting all news outlets, but it is devastating local news. From 2008 to 2021, over 450 media outlets closed, the vast majority of them small community papers. Of course, open your phone and you're bombarded with more news than ever. But we increasingly lack crucial local news that connects us with our neighbors and holds local government and corporations to account. Approving the Rogers-Shaw deal means further slashing into local news. We know that will happen directly through cutting global news funding to give to City News. We also share the concern of other stakeholders that Chorus will be forced to seek support from the Independent Local News Fund, which could potentially absorb 60 to 80% of those very limited funds that are intended for small outlets. But even if those concerns are addressed, further unannounced news cuts are predictable and inevitable. To afford the purchase, Rogers is taking on immense levels of debt that needs to be paid off by cutting costs or raising prices. Given that local news is already barely economically viable, that's not going to come in increasing news prices. It will come from slashing programming and jobs. Rogers's previous CEO made a number of promises to expand news content and hire Indigenous reporters as part of the deal. We'd suggest to you that these are sops, an attempt to bamboozle you, not meaningful commitments to local news. They're entirely short-term, legally unenforceable, and likely to be ended as soon as the company can. And the combined Rogers-Shaw will be a company of unprecedented power in Canadian history. Canada already has an unusually serious problem with vertical integration, in which key telecom companies like Rogers and Bell sell both access to wireless networks and a great deal of the content Canadians consume on those networks. High levels of vertical integration create strong incentives for clearly anti-competitive behaviors that hurt both smaller media and telecom competitors and consumers. A combined Rogers-Shaw would exert market power on another level, with 47% of English language telecom subscribers and broadcast service reach to 80% of Canadian households. The last thing we need in Canada is this further concentration. And Canadians know that. We do not, as a group, want this deal. Public polling has consistently found a majority oppose the deal, particularly in the West where Shaw does business. Last year, over 61,000 people signed petitions calling on the federal government to block the Rogers-Shaw deal, and the Competition Bureau set new records for public engagement around it. People in Canada are looking to see whether public officials like yourselves are going to represent us and our concerns or side with Edward Rogers. Inaction on this file is a choice. Choosing not to stop this deal is a decision to side with further monopolizing of our economy and news over diversity, innovation, and the best interests of Canadians. For these reasons, Open Media is urging you to take action to block Rogers Communications from buying out Shaw Communications. Thank you, and we look forward to your questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hatfield. I then go to the final witness in this round, and that's going to be Québecor Media Incorporation, Pierre Carl Pelledo and Peggy Tablet. Monsieur Pelledo, for 5 minutes, please.
Madam Chairman, thank you. Je m'appelle Pierre.
My name is Pierre Carpelledo. I'm the president and CEO of Quebecor. I'm here today with Peggy Tebet, Vice President, Regulatory and Environmental Affairs. A few weeks ago, the CRTC hearings took place on the Rogers-Shaw transaction. Quebecor did not appear because we are of the opinion that our issues are focused more on telecommunications rather than on broadcasting. We did not take a stance on the Rogers proposals where local news is concerned, and we will not take one today. However, what we can tell you is that if CRTC does not lighten the regulatory burden of Canadian businesses that exist in an environment that is more and more fragile, local news and all the sector, the information sector, will suffer the consequences. Then this would be a consequence. And so what's at play here is the survival of our industry and is necessary to maintain a strong and lively democracy. Unless everybody wishes that only Radio Canada fulfills that mission. And this should be addressed in Bill C-11. The regulatory and financial burden of broadcasting businesses is untenable. Regulated basic services, requirements to contribute to various funds, onerous regulatory fees, spending and broadcasting quotas for Canadian shows, reports upon reports, and the list goes on. Moreover, according to the Digital Transformation Academy in 2021, Quebec household subscriptions to online video services for the first time surpassed cable television subscriptions, hitting 71% compared to 66%. What this means is that fewer financial resources are available for the Canadian Media Fund because the GAFANs are not contributing to the funding of the Canadian production program. Fewer resources means less local production, which means more foreign production and means fewer economic activities. With this worrisome information, how is it possible to keep in place local news and businesses with so much bureaucracy, whereas the GAFANs are free of this crushing and archaic regulatory burden? It is high time that we too benefit from this commercial and regulatory freedom. So if you think that the picture we've drawn of broadcasting is alarming, well, we must also shed light on the major impacts that the Rogers-Shaw transaction would have on the telecommunications sector. You'll recall that Videotron's arrival on the mobility market in 2006 was a disruption which allowed Quebecers to be the first to pay 35 to 40% less for their wireless services compared to the rest of Canada. Over the last years, the business invested over $4 billion to build a solid and high-performing network, unmatched customer service, and stimulating innovation, especially with the creation of Fizz, the first 100% digital telecommunications brand in Canada. All of this was made possible because the federal government put in place in 2007 concrete measures to dismantle the oligopoly of the three big names. These measures also allowed Quebecor to acquire blocks of the spectrum at the last auction thanks to a major investment of over $830 million that will allow it to start expanding its wireless services in Canada. Quebecor is also actively participating in the next auction, and we encourage the government to maintain pro-competition measures in place. With all due respect for the oligopoly, to allow for a fourth strong player in all regions of Canada, we need a strategy of reserving wireless spectrum frequencies for new competitors, and that's paramount. With promising conditions and an expedited decision by the CRTC, Videotron is the best player to make way for true competition throughout Canada and stimulate innovation. Thank you very much, Dr. Fry.
Thank you very much, Monsieur Pelado. And now we begin with a question and answer round. And we may only be able to do one round because of the time constraints. We have a hard stop at 5 o'clock. And so I will begin with the first round is meant to be 6 minutes. And I will begin with Kevin Waugh for the Conservatives. Kevin, 6 minutes.
Thank you, Chair. First off, my motion a few months ago, I am very disappointed that Rogers is not in front of us. It was 11 months ago that Rogers committed $26 billion to buy the Shaw Empire. They spent 5 days of CRTC hearings in November. I asked for Shaw and Rogers to come to committee. They're not here. 20 minutes ago, we've just received notice that Bell wants to come to our committee talking about this sale, massive sale in this country of $26 billion. You know, Alex Friedman, you kind of stole my line because we're very concerned in Western Canada about global television. Stations like Lethbridge, Kelowna, Saskatoon, Regina, plus in Ontario, Kingston, Peterborough, the Maritimes, St. John and Halifax could be gone overnight, their newsrooms, if this sale is approved by the CRTC, which we also need the CRTC to come to this committee before they approve or disapprove the sale of Rogers and Shaw. So I'm going to start with you first, Ms. Edwards. You made a number of allegations, and you are totally correct. The news media, the cable giants, have decimated community television. We used to have a pretty good community television in Saskatoon. It's gone dark, like you mentioned, Vancouver and others, and there is nothing to fill this gap. And I am concerned that communities in this country will not get the local news that we have enjoyed over the last 10 or 15 years, and I just want to get your further comment on this situation with this takeover.
Well, it's just an observation that community media is 10 times as cost effective as private or public sector media, and it's really the only cost effective model for smaller communities. And so it's disappointing that the Rogers and Shaw, the two companies at the focus of this, have actually been the reason that we've lost most of those smaller stations. They're certainly not serving them with their private stations. And in fact, we're in a crazy situation now where, for example, Rogers extracts money from its cable subscriber in New Brunswick to support CDTV in Toronto, and none of that money is flowing back to the communities from which it's extracted. It's when the Independent Local News Fund was created in 2017 from what was firmly recognized as community TV money. It was called local expression spending. They gave cable companies carte blanche to move the money to their private properties, to move it around among their community stations, and to shut stations in big cities. So unfortunately, we're seeing the results of that. And our experience is that the CRTC, these companies are just too big. The bigger they get, the more difficult it is to get them observed policies. Even when they're put on paper, we complain and point out that they're not being followed, and nothing happens year after year. So we just don't see how further consolidation is going to address local news or the problems that the regulator has getting them to follow the policies that are already in place. Thanks for the question.
Yeah, thank you. And then we've got a bill in front of us. In fact, it'll be introduced in the House this afternoon, C11, which will have major ramifications across this country. Alex Friedman, for Community Radio Fund, I noticed you worked for CBC for 15 years. Good for you, because CBC is killing local radio stations in this country. They're down in revenue up to 40 to 45%, coast to coast, and yet CBC was just handed $150 million more by this government. So how can local radio stations compete with the public broadcaster, because they're getting killed, not only in the last 2 years, but certainly over the last 5 to 6 years?
Well, thank you for the question, Mr. Waugh, and through you, Chair. I would simply state that I couldn't agree with you more. I did work for the CBC, and I am a fan of the CBC, but CBC has roundly abandoned local communities, moving to a model of regional distribution. CBC does remarkable work in and of itself. but they do not represent local communities. Our stations, both television and radio, from a community standpoint, are based in communities, are not for profit. And when our DJs and our news producers walk out the door of their station, they run into their listeners in the supermarket. It's that local connection that you cannot replace by parachuting in a journalist from Winnipeg into Brandon or Dauphin or the Paw, or taking a journalist from Regina and moving them into Prince Albert. You're just not going to get the kind of coverage you would if you had local journalists on place in those areas. And that's why my position is simply that concentration does not support local journalism, and that if, in fact, this deal is allowed to go forward, this committee very much needs to find ways to support local journalism. And as Kathy said, community broadcasters really are the foundations. We've been there, and we will continue to be there to support these communities. How well we can do that depends on your support.
You have 36 seconds, Kevin.
Thank you, Mr. Pelodeau. You're expanding in Western Canada, but this deal between Rogers and Shaw also includes Freedom, which is 6% for Shaw right now. What will that do to your Quebec core as you try to come to Manitoba, BC, and Alberta?
Well, thank you for the question. Basically what we're saying here is that, we've been seeing the kind of oligopoly policies that had been established, for the last decades in Canada. We've been able to prove with a fourth operator in Quebec that, Quebecers had been able to enjoy much better prices. And something which is quite important, especially today in the digital world, innovation. We would like to introduce, competition. And the CRTC did the right thing, with the MVNO policy this past July. What is important now is to make sure that this MVNO policy will be made and will be available as short as possible. One thing of great importance, which regard competition, which regard industry, and which regard the entire industry, would be, to make sure that the fourth operator, which is available right now in British Columbia, in Alberta, and in Ontario, which is called, as you said, Freedom, will not be part of the transaction, will be available for disposal to make sure that competition will remain in Canada in this very strategic market, which is the wireless industry.
Thank you, Mr. Pelodeau. And I now go to Tim Lewis for the Liberals. 6 minutes, Tim.
Thank you, Chair. And I want to thank all the witnesses for being here in this important conversation. I would like to start with Ms. Edwards from the Canadian Association of Community Television Users and Stations. Ms. Edwards, in your opening statements, you had just run out of time. You had just touched on your ideas for a community access media fund. And I just wanted to give you the opportunity to have that, have you shared that idea with us?
That's really kind of you. We were only invited last night, so we didn't have much time to prepare our comments. When the Rogers-Shaw proceeding was before the CRTC and open for public comment, we did participate, and we simultaneously filed an application for a certified independent production fund, a CRTC certified fund called the Community Access Media Fund. And the idea is, as with New STV that Mr. Julian volunteers for, small not-for-profits have been trying to step in and fill the gaps left by the retreat of cable community channels, but it's really difficult to do because we have no access to the ILNF, for example, which was ironically created out of former community TV funding. Not-for-profit community TV stations have never had access to any of the funding that BDUs spend except in Quebec. So that's what that fund is for, and we suggested, because Shaw in particular has been in violation of CRTC policy with respect to community TV stations, so they haven't met their access and local requirements over the years, that rather than Rogers just taking over those stations and continuing to have them underperform, that if instead money from former Shaw areas at the least, and perhaps also Rogers areas, were put instead into the Community Access Media Fund, we could start to resource not-for-profits to bring back service in areas of the country that cable companies have pulled out of. And like Alex and I both said, we do it for a tenth the cost of the public and private sectors, and it's really the only cost-effective option.
Excuse me, there is a sound in a room somewhere that's coming in to distract.
That might have been me, Chair. I prematurely pushed the unmute button, so my apologies.
Okay, that's fine.
I'd like to, yeah, sorry about that. There's the cough button. Mr. Friedman, if I can talk to you from the Community Radio Fund, speaking of cough buttons. In my region, we're very fortunate to have community radio. We've got CKWR, CJIQ, CICW, which is a station that I volunteered and hosted a show, so I know the importance. We also are fortunate enough to have CBC locally in KW, and then also some private stations. So I know we've had discussions in the past about the recognition that community radio is the third pillar of broadcasting system and can work in conjunction with public and private colleagues. Can you just explain on the importance of having all three?
Oh, certainly. And again, thank you for the question, MP Lewis, and through you, Dr. Fry. The importance of having community media is there are things that the CBC does that are exceptional. Our stations couldn't cover the Olympics in the same way they do. There are things that commercial radio does that are very, very good, and they promote very, very popular music, and they have a for-profit model. Community radio fills that gap, and that is the gap that is representing local communities outside of the major urban centers. And there are millions of Canadians that do not live in the major urban centers and that do require local news and information. So let me give you an example. Cortes Island, in the middle of the pandemic, they were not getting the news they needed. They were getting the news from Vancouver. What they needed was to know what was happening on Cortes Island. What they needed to know was what that local community was doing, what volunteers were needed, what was happening at the local health center, what local municipal officials were doing. That was the sort of coverage that community radio was able to provide. And I do want to be clear in this. I'm not speaking only about community radio in this context. I'm speaking about community broadcasters writ large, and that includes television stations. These are broadcasters that have boards of directors based in those communities, that have staff based in those communities, and that are supported by a network of more than 10,000 volunteers, all of whom come from those communities. Without that on-the-ground knowledge, you just can't get quality coverage. And without quality coverage, the average Canadian is going to turn to Facebook and Google for their news, and we know what happens when that happens. And so this system is built on a pillar of three major aspects: community, broadcast, community, commercial, and public. And unfortunately, community has been woefully underserved. And as we see, we're continuing to have a conversation about multi-billion-dollar deals in the commercial sector. And we need to make sure that as that conversation happens, there is recognition for community media.
Well said.
1 minute, Tim.
Thank you very much, Chair. Yes, that is. You just explained the importance of that local news, local messaging. Maybe in that final minute, I could ask Mr. Saras from the Ethnic Press. Can you give a quick, in a minute, example of how the Ethnic Press is more trusted and possibly got messaging out in the pandemic that was more effective in specific languages? You mentioned 103 languages. Thank you.
We are a society of new immigrants. These people are coming here. They don't know much of our culture. They try to integrate into the culture. They turn to their own press because they understand better for various reasons, and they trust them better. The problem is, Mr. Rogers, 3 years ago, fired about 287 members of the ethnic press that they were working on the channels Omni 1, Omni 2. He turned those channels to commercial channels. And then he applied a year ago back to CRTC, and he received another license to get a channel for the ethnic communities. And this is so how these people are thinking and what exactly they do. They are looking first the profit and only the profit, and much less if they are going to serve the Canadian public and which part of the Canadian public.
Thank you. I believe that's my time.
Thank you very much. That's it. Sorry, Tim. We've I'm going to have to go to the next person on my list of questioners, and I think that is Monsieur Champoux of the Bloc Québécois. Martin,
Merci.
6 minutes.
Merci, Madame la Présidente.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I'd also like to thank the witnesses who are here today. Thank you for taking the time to join this committee to enlighten us and give us your relevant points of view. It's very interesting to listen to you. Mr. Pelado, earlier you mentioned the importance of having a fourth player, one that's competitive, and you gave the example of the 2000s, and the example of Quebec is an interesting one. And I'd like you to talk to me about the experience with Global Live in 2008. If I recall correctly, it didn't go that well. You talked about it at the industry committee when you were there over the last months. I'd like you to compare those examples, please, yours and that one. Well, thank you for giving me this opportunity to talk to you about this topic. Yes, the first auction, which was organized by the Department of Industry to put in place a new policy, a competition policy, allowed for new players, a new operator, to benefit from a reserved portion of the spectrum. This policy was very successful in Quebec because a fourth player came along. And this was also the case in the Atlantic provinces with Bragg, which is operating still today, and was unfortunately not the case for the rest of Canada, from Ontario to BC. And why? Well, indeed, the businesses who participated in the auction outside of Quebec, well, for the most part, they were owned by foreign interests, and their vocation, in fact, they were more financial businesses, and that was seen, and we saw that there were property disputes following that, and all of that ended by a purchase by Shaw, and then the company WIN became Freedom Mobile. At the beginning, when Shaw took over Freedom, we saw that the environment was much more competitive. And so the citizens and residents of Ontario and Alberta and BC benefited from that environment. And we saw proposals that were more competitive, and there were innovative factors as well. So unfortunately, all of that ended, and with the Shaw-Rogers transaction, well, there won't be other operators. There won't be a fourth one. On the contrary, it'll all come together. And this oligopoly, well, we've seen it in operation for a number of years. So the prices are lower in Quebec and the Atlantic provinces, and they're higher everywhere else in Canada. This situation will be repeated, and once again, in a sector that is crucial for Canadians and for the wireless industry. We can't talk about being competitive internationally when in this economy without having a competitive industry. So this is the question that we're asking and that we've raised before the CRTC, before the Industry Department, and before the Competition Bureau. Mr. Pelado, I don't think we will get a second round of questions, so I'll take this moment to ask you to give me your impressions of Bill C-11, which is being debated at the House of Commons right now. I know, and we're seeing, that the broadcasters and the telecommunications companies are speaking out a lot more. But I wanted to get your impressions because, indeed, I don't think we'll miss out on the opportunity to regulate and help and do other things. But you brought up a good point, and you had good arguments when you talk about deregulating. You're saying there's things that you can or could get. In fact, you talked about lightening the burden for traditional broadcasters. Give me a few examples of things that could easily be done to lighten the load for you and to help the new market be more competitive. Well, listen, the list is very long. Well, if I said you had a minute and a half, I think that would be a good challenge for you. Well, it's very difficult because it's an accumulation of decades of regulations. So what we would hope for, well, we're seeing this is not something that's specific to Canada. We see this in North America and elsewhere in the world. TV broadcasting is something that is on the outs, so it's declining. The internet, well, the internet is in and of itself deregulation because to be online, you don't need a license. And the large foreign businesses, Netflix, Disney, Amazon, they understood that. And so they've invaded that space, whereas the cable TV broadcasters are the only ones who contribute financially to the Canada Media Fund. And that fund is there to help with funding for local production. And as people move away from cable broadcasting, and this is major, resources dry up. And this weakens the production ecosystem in Canada. And consequently, the entire information sector is affected. So if we don't have a solid information sector that is well-funded and reliable, well, it's democracy itself that's jeopardized, in my opinion. So you recognize that it is nonetheless important, beyond the fact that we have to lighten the load for traditional broadcasters. Thank you. Well, thank you, Mr. Peredo.
Thank you very much. And then I go to the final questioner. That's Monsieur Julien for the NDP.
Merci beaucoup, Madame la Présidente.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Witnesses for being here today and for your work. This is extremely important information that you're giving to the committee. And we hope during this pandemic that you and your families are staying safe and healthy through this entire period. I'd like to start with open media. Mr. Hatfield, Ms. Knight. You've stressed that this would be a real disaster, allowing this merger. I'd like you to talk about the implications in terms of loss of jobs. This has been flagged by Unifor and others in terms of the loss of jobs that this merger could represent. Also, the cost increase. What are the potential in terms of costs going up? But Canadians already pay more than pretty well any other industrialized country. So what are the implications there? And finally, we've all seen playing out in a stunning way the dysfunctional corporate boardroom that Rogers has over the last few months. To what extent should that be considered when we talk about this takeover?
Yeah, thank you very much. So in terms of the consequences, I think they're pretty obvious. This is going to mean less of everything for Canadians, everything we value. It means companies don't do this. They don't consider mergers like this in order to invest more. They do mergers like this to cut their costs and invest less. So sooner or later, that's going to lead to cutbacks on the local news available to people in jobs and telecommunications as well. And in the short term, of course, people have rightly flagged that Chorus could cause a knock-on effect where if they're forced to go to independent journalism funding, that will lead to them absorbing a bunch of that funding that should be intended for some of the smaller outlets that are here with us today. But the consequences are really much wider than that. I mean, it's an opportunity for a national conglomerate like Rogers to be serving people instead of local news, national news or news from Eastern Canada that doesn't speak to their local needs. It's really coming from a long history of broken promises in decisions like this. You know, if you look at Bell and MTS, that was a merger that was justified with all these flowery promises about great value that was going to be delivered to consumers. That's not what happened. Prices went up because that's why Bell bought MTS, because they would be able to leverage their market power for higher prices. I'll defer to my colleague Aaron for a little bit more on telecom.
Thanks, Matt. Yeah, I'd love to talk about how this buyout's going to make connectivity more expensive in Canada. And so, foundationally, I really need to stress that Canada has a massive affordability problem when it comes to internet and cell phone bills. And we've seen study after study that's shown that Canada already pays some of the highest prices in the world for these services, like you mentioned. And just this week, we actually heard reports that Rogers has yet again raised prices on some plans by $5 to $10 per month. So, with that in mind, it's clear that we in Canada need telecom prices brought way down in line with our international peers. But the Rogers-Shaw merger is set to do the exact opposite, and it's going to be a disaster for affordability in Canada. And that's mainly due to the fact that it's going to deal a massive blow to competition in a market that is already dominated by just a handful of companies. I'll pass it back to you, Matt.
Well, thanks very much. I'm going to move on. Thank you for your answers to Ms. Edwards, Madame Hinz, Mr. Friedman. Thank you very much for your work in maintaining community television and radio. Absolutely essential. The radicalization that we're seeing that is manifest on Parliament Hill is in large part because stories aren't being told at the local level anymore to people. And this is a fundamental issue that we need to start addressing. I did want to shout out to New West Television and all of the community television providers right across the country that are making such a difference. To what extent do we need to change direction for community television, community radio, and impose conditions that make sure that the telecom giants are actually paying their fair share so we can stimulate and have the community television, the community radio, the community reporting that the Canadians want and need?
So can I answer that? I think
Yes.
that there was, before 2017, when the Independent Local News Fund was created, there was on paper at least supposed to be 150 million spent across the country on community TV, but it's being spent on a handful of big city stations because all the small ones had been closed. So we've been asking for a community access media fund that communities themselves could apply to and then run community TV stations on the community radio model by not-for-profit, locally accountable boards of directors. So we've reapplied for, to certify an independent production fund for that purpose at this time. And we've recommended that if the merger does go through, that instead of money going to the, all of the money being pocketed by cable companies or moved around with a lack of public scrutiny, because none of it's ever published data, it's just the CRTC keeps it, that a portion at least be put into this fund to ensure that we can roll out community TV back to communities that have lost it.
And if you'll indulge me, Mr. Julian, and thank you for the question, through you, Madam Chair, I would only say that you ask a very good question. Right now, the government gives $1.4 billion to the CBC, Radio-Canada. For radio alone, it gives more than $450 million. We, through community radio, receive not 1 cent of operational dollar support for this incredible network of stations and for the work that we do. And so, there are a number of mechanisms, and I mentioned some in my opening statement, and I'm more than happy to go through a variety of other mechanisms. We need support. We need support to ensure that our stations are able to continue to operate and continue to do the incredible work that they've been doing so far, and expand their capacity to make sure that there's more local news, more coverage, more talk radio, and more connection with the community, which is something that all Canadians are desirous of. So I'll leave it there, but thank you, Dr. Fry and Mr. Julian.
And then I will go to Mr. Saras.
Sorry, Peter. That's it. I'm sorry. You've run out of time. I just need to actually quickly ask the committee an issue. We were supposed to have a hard start for a business meeting at 5 o'clock. It is now about 11 minutes after 5. I'm just we could use this room until 6 o'clock. The question is how many people can stay until then to finish the business meeting. This is an important and urgent business meeting with a timeliness about it. So I want to ask you, because we will have to end the witnesses here, we will have to get into camera, and we will have to deal with this. So we may need to go an extra 10 minutes or so. Could I get a sense from the committee? And I will entertain eventually and quickly a motion to adjourn this part of the meeting to get into camera. It's going to take a couple of minutes to get into camera. So I don't know. I think maybe.
So moved, Madam. So moved, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Move to the committee business.
Thank you very much. So what I will ask everybody is to please remember you have to log off all of the committee and then log on quickly to the in-camera part of the meeting. There is a new ID for you on that one. Thank you very much. And thank you, witnesses. I am sorry. I think, votes and stuff got in the way of having a really nicely planned meeting. So thank you very much. But you made your points clear. Thank you.
Thank
so
you.
we will log off now, guys. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you.
Chair.
Bye.